The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hi Rogers, can I ask you something?
Shoot.
What does corruption mean?
Well, summarily, corruption is abuse of public power for personal gain or for the benefit of a group to which one owes allegiance. For example, when a public office is abused by an official accepting or soliciting a bribe. By the way, private people can be corrupt too, like bribing police officers to escape fines.
Okay. So exactly how does that concern me?
Well, do you pay taxes?
I guess, yeah. What does that have to do with this?
Everything. Because those taxes you pay are supposed to facilitate services you use, like water, electricity, roads construction, medicines in hospitals, name it.
Okay, that is much bigger than I thought. But it can be stopped, right?
Well, yes, it can. Although it may not be as easy as it sounds. And here is the reason why. Corruption roots are grounded in our country's social, political, economic, bureaucratic traditions and policies.
So, what has kept it going this long? I mean, why don't we stop it?
Well, the main reason why it has been here for so long is because institutions are weak, either as a result of poorly defined ethical standards of public service, weak administrative and financial systems, or ineffective watchdog agencies.
What can we do to stop it?
At a national level, we must focus on strengthening the independence and effectiveness of public institutions that fight corruption. At a personal level, we must commit to never giving a bribe.
I promise I'll never give a bribe.
Well, that's a great decision you have made. Me and you now have to spread this message to all our friends. If we all do our part, corruption will be no more.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digital. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
A very good morning, viewers. Thank you so much for keeping it to the Alternative Digital. I am Princess Blue Lilian. I welcome you on the show today, and we are live on our Facebook pages, that is the Alternative Uganda and Digital TV. You can be part of the discussion by joining in or by tuning in, and then we'll be diving into a very interesting discussion today. But with me in studios, I have two gentlemen. Yeah, I have Mr. Odong Arthur and then Mr. Mwesige Joram. So we're going to be talking about the Liberty Camp Africa 2024, and they're going to be telling us about this organization Action for Development initiative. What is it all about? What do they do? And then what is Liberty and Economic Camp Africa? What is it all about? And then how can you be part of it? So be part of the discussion by joining in and dropping in your questions in the comment section. I'll be reading them before we come to the end of the show. But before we actually reach to that point, let the two gentlemen say hello to our viewers, and then we kick off the discussion from there. But before that, okay, let me wish my Muslim friends happy Eid al-Fitr. For those who have not invited us, okay, we are all human beings. We are also waiting for you when Easter comes. Sorry, when Christmas comes, because we are done with Easter, and many of you were complaining we didn't invite you. Yes, we didn't invite you. It was because you guys were also fasting. Yeah, so be nice to us as well. We'll also be nice to you when Christmas comes. But other than that, let the two gentlemen salute you, and then we kick off the discussion from that. Right, left, right, left. I think let's start with right.
Yeah, good morning. Jerome Wesley. I'm happy to be part of this show again. I work with Action for Liberty and Economic Development
Okay.
as administrative officer. I'm humbled actually. Yeah, hosting that.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us this morning. To you, Mr. Odong.
Well, thanks very much, Madam Moderator. My name is Odong Arthur for the purpose of this sharing and Action for Development Initiative. I'm so much happy to be hosted in this show.
You're welcome on the show. Actually, Mr. Jerome, I believe this is not your first time here.
Yeah, it's my second time to
No.
be in the same
Okay.
studio.
The first
Yes.
time we had you, it was a different discussion, and today it's also going to be a different discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for joining in, and we'll be discussing, we'll be having actually a discussion till 10 a.m. In the morning. So we'll be going straight. Who is Mr. Odong? I think let's start from
Yes,
there
I am.
before we reach to the Action for Development Initiative.
Okay, Odong Arthur is a Ugandan by nationality and a libertarian and passionate about capitalism and free trade, because those are the principles that inform most of the libertarian rights. And then at an individual basis, I'm a speaker, a writer, and my passion derives so much on free individuals creating free enterprises. Yeah, thanks very much.
Oh, okay, you're a writer. You
Yes,
write
please.
books or
I'm most articles.
articles?
That's most, yeah.
That's awesome. So, Mr. Jerome,
Yeah.
there are those who are seeing you for the first time today, and they would love to know more about you.
Yeah, I'm Joram Wesige. As I said, I work with Action for Liberty and Economic Development as administrative officer. I'm a capitalist as well as a libertarian. I believe in free.
You see, whenever I use those terms, they become, okay, most people get confused along the way. The capitalist and then the libertarian. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, a libertarian is a person who value freedom
Yeah.
more. Yeah. So I work with ALED as administrative officer. ALED is a free market organization that is located in Entebbe, and we promote free market ideas. We have programs like the Liberty Camp that we are going to be talking about today, and others, education program like human rights program like property right, that is it's advocacy program which advocate for the most privileged land right and property right for women and the orphans.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Let me come back to you, Mr. Odong.
Yes, please.
You're the team leader, Action for Development Initiative.
Yeah.
Where does this come from? Like, how do you start this?
All right. As communicated before, our passion that thrives on the wings of believing that free individuals create free enterprises and free enterprises boost prosperity in society. So our niche as Action for Development Initiative is trying to incorporate the scholar environment, the academia, into the spaces of the market. And for this academia to understand that their relevance in the market is key in contributing to the free and prosperous society. So our niche is mostly interacting with university scholars and incorporating them into the understanding of free enterprises. That's the free market approach. Some of our programs that are currently running, we are running the Free Trade Catalyst program. This is a program that has most to engage the university scholars on how to provoke them to appreciate, first of all, the free market enterprises, and then also be the next advocates and also participants into the free market. So we jump on board for a period of time with the other free market think tanks in the country to have this Africa Liberty Camp. I think as we go deeper to share about the Africa Liberty Camp, which I believe the time will come, for the benefit of our location, we are located in Chireka on the second floor, room 35, that's Isabella Plaza, just opposite Shell.
So how long has this been into existence?
Well, the ideation of Action for Development Initiative commenced in 2017, and we actualized the idea in 2018 by registering, first of all, as a community-based organization. And we ran for a period of time under the identity of Action for Direct Impact. And then the evolving into coming to the real identity of Action for Development Initiative did happen in 2022 when we incorporated as a company limited by guarantee. So The ideation started in 2017, and actualizing the idea commenced in 2018 by registering and starting operations, till date. Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. Mr. Mwesige,
Yes.
how has the journey been?
The journey has been building. Yeah, we are in an environment or in space of ideas. That's what we want to change. We want to give the community, our society, the alternative idea. That is the idea about free market, where individuals are able to work for themselves, to work for the development of the society, using their own initiative, not using a command from somewhere. So the journey we've had is to educate young people with free market ideas. Free market idea that involves individual liberty, rule of law, limited government, and free market capitalism. So our journey has been teaching young people through conferences, camps, and seminars. Yes, that's how it has been. And of course, and through our program, we have managed to educate many young people, and as ALED, we've given birth to very many young people and organizations like Action for Development Initiative, Africa Liberty Foundation, Mutino Network, and Spark Uganda and ESCO Africa. All our effort, and that is the road we are moving. We want to actually extend more of free market ideas to very many young people who can be defenders of tomorrow's liberty. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we have a lot of partners in this. Who does what and when and where? We need to know that we have ALED, and then we have the Action for Development Initiative. So who is the top leader? Who is the top driver when it comes to this?
Initially, this program was started by Action for Liberty and Economic Development. That is ALED. But for us, we believe in synergy, building synergy. As libertarian, we believe in cooperation. Voluntarism is one of the principles in free market. So as ALED, we started the program in 2017, but along the time we've developed, we actually given birth to children like Action for Liberty, Mutino Network, and of course we feel that building synergy, bringing resources together, that is the way to go. We are an organization that is not endowed. We don't have resources. So bringing people who believe like us, who believe in free market idea together to work for a better tomorrow, that's what we see as a strategy. Yeah.
Okay. So according to what you've done so far, how has the reception been?
The reception is quite good because we have fruits. I've told you we have also Arthur was a socialist. Right now he's a libertarian. I was a socialist. Personally, I used to believe that the government is the only solution. Everything should be done by a government. But today I changed my narrative. I believe that it's individual who actually create everything you see. It's people who create big talk, and the government only come in to only sometimes collect your revenue. That is the only stage where, but the result of our work has been changing the mindset of individuals, like many of us. We have very many of us. Actually, we have like around 7 organizations who believe in free market ideas right now. So that's a good picture since 2017.
Okay.
And of course, those organizations employ young people. And of course, there are thousands of individuals who follow us, who believe in our ideas. Yes, and of course, we have influenced policies. We have dialogue in our community. For example, in Entebbe, we have had dialogue with community on land issues, on ownership of land. We have actually taken court action on land matters regards to protection of women's rights and orphans. And we've run cases. There are very many. We've established a public library where young people are free access and, of course, read about free market ideas. Yes.
Okay. You want, oh, okay. Thank you. Mr. Odong,
Yes.
back to you. This is a community-based organization that has been in existence for quite a long period of time, should I say? Not so long, but anyway, for the time you've been here, have you registered any achievements so far?
Obviously, we have. Just for a little bit of a correction, the community-based organization phase ended when we incorporated as limited by guarantee, and now pursuing on the other lane. Yeah, well and good. Now, as Joram has fashioned it, in the libertarian segment, we often opt to believe or uphold the fact that ideas change the world. But the driving force behind the ideas are individuals. Now that motivation alone gives us an understanding of how then do we interact with individuals to really contribute to make these ideas come to life. As a matter of fact, as I told you, Action for Development Initiative commenced as an idea. Now an idea that had this utopia of how people, having individuals be taught or scholars be involved into the market space on how they can contribute to the free enterprises. It commenced as an idea, and then by taking action by individuals, started by individuals. Okay, so now this is the appreciation that we try to uphold. Now all these conferences and trainings that we reach out to, as we made mention, Action for Development Initiative, our niche is largely the scholarly environment. Now when we want to get deeper into the communities, and we have partnerships with ALED and the Mtindos, the Ethical Africa organizations, but our niche as Action for Development Initiative, we are intentional. We want to engage the scholars largely to utilize their research to benefit the market, to utilize the intellectual benefits to benefit the market. So that alone informs us of the database that we have impacted in terms of the scholars, considering the different conferences we have done in different universities. Actually, we have traversed literally most of the universities in Kampala.
And then to go, how far have you gone? When it comes to spreading the knowledge. Okay, starting just with the immediate, this very past month, we were just in Makerere University Jinja campus, and then we're in Kampala University. We are also still working on another capitalism project to go to Nkumba University. We have been to University of Chisubi, Makerere University Kampala, Chambogo. So we have tried, and we have a database of scholars who are actually in our line, and to most occasions that the immediate recipients to the Liberté camps. And now, as we go to the Liberté camp, because I think it was the larger talk for today, now the Liberté camp shifts to become an environment that actually disassociates us from the belief system. As libertarians, we give a lot of appreciation to thinking and reasoning, and not just to believe. Now, we believe, as we want to agree to the fact that, as Joram said, I was a socialist, he was a socialist, but all these avenues existed because of something called a belief system. And we do acknowledge the fact that people believe what they believe because it's how it has raised them. Someone believing that I am I have to live at the expense of the government is because I've been raised believing like that, but not applying my reason and thinking and weighing the fact that really who contributes much on the table, is it the government or is it me? So the Africa Liberté Camp now tries to break this hedge of protection from this shield of belief, and you come to the real hotspot of reasoning, thinking, and questioning. And it has helped us actually translate a lot of students and scholars and the youth from this paradigm of dependency and believing into this protectiveness of the crowd, and trying to identify yourself and relate to purpose as an individual. And we accept the fact that when one comes to the personal identification of their purpose, that's where value starts. And when value commences from the individual spectrum, it comes to the market, because we understand that we trade value in the market. Money is just a signal of value. So we trade value. What has to come first in the market is value, but what creates value is an individual. Now, this individual creates value and interacts because we are not self-sufficient.
Like I cannot make my clothes, I cannot make my shoe, I cannot make everything alone. But as an individual, I create something, then I trade with other people in terms of exchange. That's where now the element of the free enterprise is needed. I don't need barriers to be put in between to protect me or to shield me from trading freely with someone else. Now, when we come to this kind of talk and sharing, it helps appreciate the element of entrepreneurship, because we have a lot of systems that are in place that are trying to fight around with the individual being. School alone is trying to, dissolve an individual into a crowd of averageness. Religion is into place. Now, as the Africa Liberty Camp, we come and pay respect to all these avenues that are in place, and we say, no, let's get to an avenue where we give room to thinking, reasoning, and questioning whatsoever we have been believing for this long, and rather see what is so much beneficial for the relevance of society. Because the bigger picture is free individuals create the free enterprises, and the bigger picture of the liberty think tanks in the country is a free and a prosperous society. But the element of free comes mostly from the individuals. First of all, the individual being free to create, free to think, free to trade. And then the other element also, he has to be free to exchange with other people. Innovation, competition, creativity, all are in the avenue of the free market system. Now, that also helps us educate people not to actually disregard the fact of the existence of the government. Because when we talk of a limited government in our camps and in our teachings, it doesn't disregard the existence of the government. It only tries to echo the fact that, one, we should not always be over-dependent on the government, because the government depends on all of us.
And actually, whenever something happens here in Uganda, the first people we call out?
That government to Yambe.
Government to Yambe.
Now, that is the kind of a cloud of idea or thinking that we are trying to actually immerse. It appears strange at this point of time, but when you embrace and actually give it a thought, it is the best that creates most of the free enterprises and the free economies we are trying to see grow. Because one thing we have to appreciate the fact that, yes, even if we think we can live at the expense of the government, let's first appreciate the fact that the government lives at the expense of everybody. That is the thing. Government survives on taxes, and the government doesn't sell pancakes.
But then there are those things that government is supposed to do.
Yes, that's why actually we talked of a limited government. When we talk of a limited government, we appreciate that there are these public goods that, yes, as an individual who is selfish, who is greedy, if I make my road and Joram annoys me, I may say, Joram, because it's my road, I'll charge you 2 million to use it. Fine, we appreciate the fact that, yes, we can have those private roads, but these public goods, like let's say, because with public goods, there's that claim that what is owned by everybody is actually owned by nobody. That's why the Lake Victoria, I can claim to have ownership on Lake Victoria, but if they tell me, go point your patent on Lake Victoria, I don't. So those are the public goods, maybe government ought to protect. And then again, government has to protect the rights and the freedoms of people, individuals. Yes, and then we also appreciate all those things, the laws, because all these things have to run. Rule of law is important, but who is the custody and who has to uphold and practice this? So our small remittance of the taxes and what should actually boost the government to serve such duties, but not to let me think I'll facilitate the government, then again go to depend on the government to even serve what I can create for myself. So these things are good at breaking the hedge of, this vulnerability in our society.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Odong. When we speak of these things, and then there are a lot of people that we're actually leaving out when it comes to understanding what this is all about. So I'm going to request Mr. Gerald to also tip in and add and break it down for a common Ugandan to get to understand the Liberty and Economic Camp Africa 2024. There is a lot he has told us about it, and then there are those people that we're actually going to leave out. The issue of language barrier is another problem that we have here right now.
I'm not very sure if there is some kind of language barrier, but Liberty Camp, Africa Liberty Camp is an initiative. It's an arrangement where students and young professionals come together in a 3-day activities.
When is it starting?
This event is in June, from 13th to 16th. we bring young people into a camp where we discuss free market ideas, like Odong has said, ideas of rule of law, limited government, capitalism, and individual rights. Those are what we discuss majorly. And also, of course, we have other things like essay contest as one of the activity. We have campfire in this camp. And we also go out for boat riding and others, like boat cruise. All of part of this to make it actually flexible for the participant. But this camp is about changing the narrative of how young people are groomed in our society. Young people are actually groomed to be respecting of slavery culture. The culture that young people should live at the expense of others. Every person is created to be independent, a person of self-esteem, to do for his own life, not to live your life at the expense of others. Of course, when I talk about living at the expense of others, we talk about culture that you are supposed to be brother's keeper. You are not supposed to be a brother's keeper because of what the culture says. You are supposed to be only brother's keeper because you value that brother. So most people were taught by the culture that you are a slave of someone. So we are trying to say, before you do that, you need to reason. You need only to throw your life to something that you put value on. So the platform we are creating is a platform of reasoning and using principle that actually uplift the individual to say that I'm the only icon in this society, and the endeavors, the pursuit I'm trying to push belongs to me. And before I do anything, I must reason and act for my own sake. And that is the end of every individual.
So what kind of society are we building?
The society we are building is a society where an individual is happy, prosperous, and living in peace and freedom with others. Yes, a society that respects the rule of law. A society that where the government is limited and individuals own their results. The result, the effort, whatever I do, it belongs to me, and the contribution I make to the government respects it and use it legally to do the impact or the work that the government is supposed to do.
Okay. I'm going to get back to you on that. Okay. To you, Mr. Odong, you speak with passion, you speak with love about this libertarian thing. What really pushed you to join it? What are those things that triggered it and you're like, I think I need to join the libertarian club?
Okay, I think the important thing is value. Because as an individual, being raised up in this averageness of, go to school, do the good course. I did engineering, by the way. Go to school, do this good job, and then get the government job, retire, get the package. Then before you know, you're dissolving that belief system. Then I was knocked up in the liberty engagement, whereby strange thoughts would come in that one, it's individuals that really make this entity. Yes. Private individuals actually make the better world. Yet in my upbringing, I grew up seeing private individuals, people who are stealing from people. I would not see what they're offering as value, but rather them taking away the money I have and not considering the fact that even if it's selling to me sugar 10,000, I would not be considering the fact that it's offering to me the value that I need in the sugar and is taking the money that I'm valuing less for the sugar. So I reached a point that even if it would come to support, I would picture myself supporting a government entity and not a private entity, thinking a private entity is robbing people. Now, here comes a point where I gave it a thought. I was like, oh, come on. If it is free people that actually build the world, I was like, then I have to be that free person that builds the world. From that point of time, that's when I started realizing how then do I create value. Yeah. And now coming to realize how you create value, it has a lot of personal and then going to system awareness, understanding how businesses work in your contemporary society, understanding. Now, it provoked me so much that my mindset shifted from studying to be employed to rather creating enterprises that offer value.
But that is what we are taught in school. Okay, that is what we've been taught in school.
And that is the purpose
That
of
is
the
the
free market.
mindset
Now
that most young Ugandans, or most Ugandans have.
and that is what actually gives us reason to exist as the free market think tanks, is to break that such narratives that actually have raised us for long. You know, the power of the crowd has been used so much to shield the individual uniqueness. You know, when I bought into the idea, I was like, okay, it took me 2 months of questioning all these things. Like, come on, if it is individuals who are creating all these things, I had to weigh through actually, what really does government do for me to expect a lot from government? For me to think I'll earn good money by working for the government and retire happy. I weighed the options. I was like, okay, why don't I be this free individual who really creates the value and directly interacts with the market? So from that point, the engineering element of saying, let me get a job, I just had to register a company. I started now seeing elements of value. That whatsoever I see in the market, I see value and not to see this element of charity and sympathy. So it shifted my language from lobbying. You know, the youth and some self-help groups, they claim, you know, they have been conditioned to the edge of lobbying. And the we categorization has killed the individual identification. So now this liberty movement comes so much to provoking to, it speaks to you as an individual. It gets you off the shield of protection of the crowd and speaks to you as an individual. Arthur, what are your abilities? What are your stuff? How can you translate those to value? And how can you translate them to value to attract other people's value? Because what we understand here is the market is all about value. It's not all about simply looking at money. It's how do I attract other people's value? Now, by me attracting their value is they will match the same value by something called a price. And that's when they will give to me. Now, a case in point, if I say I'm a speaker, if I speak life to people and other people attach value to that, they will come. Now, since money is just a tool to signal value, because I can easily translate it to any form of value, now they'll come and pay me for that. So all this understanding makes me understand, okay, if there are 2 million Ugandans who are thinking and who are creating value, then Uganda must be rich. But if there are 6 million who are going through an education system and trying to run through this hedge of protection of, let me get a government job. First of all, our reasoning here, and the bigger reasoning that had to come to my head was, one, what business does government really do? What business does it really do to earn profit to offer to people? So I realized that government tax, it gives me on basis of a promise that I first give it to what is called taxes. Then it pinches something small and gives back. Then I'm like, okay, fine, respecting the fact of taxes, but it should not be too much on me. That's one thing also. Even if I'm to give it, it should be to do the other essential things. We are talking of the limited government. So I saw that the taxes should not be to pay me. I should not build my entire paradigm of thought, of value, of being this person of purpose in life by relying on something called taxpayers' money given through a government job. So I opt for the edge of creating value. And now our intent as the liberty and the free market think tanks is, if we could build a massive army of individuals or free individuals who think to create value in the private sector, we would make the world a prosperous one.
Okay. Let me also pose this question to you. Capitalism is considered for the greedy and the selfish.
All right.
What's your comment about that?
First and foremost, greed is not bad. We are all greedy.
We
are all greedy. The only problem here, those are the reasons that give life to the liberty camp, is we want to actually kick out this kind of selfishness and greed. They are the motivating factors why we do exist in life. Why I wake up out of my bed every day to go and chase after and create value is because I'm greedy for something. Now, some other people beautify it and say fulfillment, that void of fulfillment that exists within us. But as capitalists, we are straightforward. I'm like, I'm greedy, I need to have a car, so I'm greedy for a car, so I have to go create value. Now, the only extent is rule of law is important to have limits on my greed not to amount to harm. If there are laws that have to keep my greed and my selfishness into the lanes of not harming other people, then it's good. So it's actually greed that keeps us going, all of us. The reason as to why I wake up every day, I create value, is because I am greedy to make my life better. I'm greedy up to something. I have an ambition I'm chasing. That is greed. Now, when we want to let it appear, but again, we want to also create this significance of crony capitalism. There is also that element of capitalism which has made people actually blame capitalism, whereby some individuals use the advantage of the state, you know, to do business and monopoly and what have you. That's why when we are talking of capitalism in our segment, we are emphasizing on the free market capitalism, whereby it's free individuals that are doing free enterprises and make the most they can. Now, getting back to your element of greed, I want to sum it up that greed is good, actually. If we could all embrace greed, it's good. If we embrace greed. Yes, greed. Now, to make it in the simple layman's understanding that makes it appealing to our upbringing is that void of fulfillment.
So I should,
and that is good.
I should say something. Capitalism, of course, the narrative and the name they slap on it, but capitalism is a free market system where production and means of production are owned by individuals. Capitalism exists because people exchange value. Capitalism is referred to as a social system because it involves voluntary voluntary cooperation of people. People come voluntarily to exchange value. I create, I farm and get birds, and after a long of course rearing them, I take them in the market and then sell them to another person, and that person comes willingly to buy them. People blame capitalism because they were taught badly that we are brothers keeper. Someone should share with the others. So when a rich person like Sudhir come into place and amass wealth through investing, how does that make him greedy? If the person go to only that capitalist, you went to buy that expensive phone willingly. There's nobody who forced you. How does that make the producer of that phone greedy? People buy cars very expensive, 200 millions. Does the producer of that car make him greedy? People who buy expensive things, they value what they buy.
Yes.
Actually, the money you take to the producer is less. Actually, you value it less compared to the product you are getting.
Yes.
So the capitalists offer things, solve problems of the society, and in the process of solving problem of the society, the problem of transport, the problem of medicine, the researchers, they solve problems, and in the advance, in the return, they are paid, and in the process of, because their products are very valuable to the society, one by one, very many people come to them, demanding what they are producing. In the process, they get a lot of money. They become very rich. Capitalism does not agree using force. It actually resonates with the rule of law. You get?
Don't you
and
think they are
voluntary
just hiding
cooperation.
in that?
Pardon?
Don't you think they're just hiding in that, and then they have other
No,
motives?
Sudhir today does not force people to go to him to work in his company. The rich people around Kampala, there is nobody who is pulling people to go and work there.
Yeah.
Everyone wake up to go and look for a job in other people's company, and people go and buy. The company is producing.
To force you to go and work.
Yes, the situation, that is your own. Everyone, there is a natural state of man. That is poverty. Poverty is a natural state, majorly. And if I feel that poverty will kill me, I will not get food to eat today, and I hear that there is a job and they are paying less, instead of dying, I will go to a capitalist, he pay me less, and I work.
And that is
Do you prefer dying?
That is the greediness and
No.
selfishness you're talking about here.
The capitalists have a lot of expenses. Most people see the Sudhir you see, or I'm sorry to refer much to Sudhir, or any other rich person. You see, they have those infrastructures. Those are means of production. Those infrastructure, they have loans. They have a lot of expenses, which you don't see as a layman. And you think that they have a lot of money. Actually, at the end of the day, the profit of those big people, You might find it is 1 million or 2 million. But the infrastructure that creates that wealth, that's what you see as a man, as an individual.
Yes.
You say that Sudhiro has a lot of money, or Ham has a lot of money, but you don't know what the operation cost involved in that.
Yes.
And you want to say that the guy is paying less. But do you know how much his loan is facilitating in the bank? Do you know how much salary bill is he paying? Do you know how much tax he's paying? So before, what we should say is the morality.
Yeah.
We should not say, you cannot claim that I'm greedy when I'm giving you a job. I'm giving millions of people jobs. Actually, let me tell you, capitalism is the system that it's a moral system. It's an unprecedented system. It is a system that does not use force, and it is the system that has lifted millions of people out of poverty in over 250 years.
True.
There is no any other system other than capitalism.
Yeah.
If I give you an example of China, China was under Chairman Mao in the 40s. He introduced the Leap Forward program, a communist program. It killed millions of people because he wanted to show that socialism was the best alternative. Until in the 70s, Xi introduced free market ideas. They started trading with the world. It's when China started creating jobs, amassing wealth, and it's where it's China today because of free market ideas. If you see Soviet Union, the West Germany and East Germany, when the Soviet East Germany was under socialism, that is Soviet Union, they died because of hunger. They could not produce because of monopoly of the government and inefficiency. West Germany had everything. It was because of capitalism. So if you look at North Korea and South Korea today, North Korea is starving because of socialism, and South Korea is thriving, and it is one of the more developed world.
But all the countries that you've mentioned, if we come to talk about them, there is the citizens, how they've benefited from all this, the capitalism concept. Most of them are complaining.
No, of course, there is no any flat society. There is no flat society. I cannot say that people from South Korea are complaining. South Korea is a developing country. If you look at its GDP, if you look at its economic freedom index, if you look at China in 3 decades now, after actually the Great Famine, you see China is making a serious stride and it's overtaking the world with billionaires. And of course, the employment and all that. So you cannot say China is complaining when, of course, those they will be poor everywhere in the society, but the rate at which China is creating wealth, the rate at which South Korea is creating wealth, it's unprecedented, and it's not comparable to former socialist society like China, which it was before. Yeah.
Okay. Since I still have you for the second hour, I'll bring more questions about that, the capitalism concept. And to you, Mr. Odong,
Yes,
we talked about the barriers that you have, the religion, the education, and culture, and all that when we were talking about giving us details about the liberty and economic camp. How are you going to go about this? Because these are things that we've had for the times. Education, there are a lot of things that we're taught, and then in religion and the cultural bit of it. So how are you going to go about it, going to break these barriers?
Well, appreciating the fact that for every construction to happen, destruction has to occur. But again, we also are cognizant of the fact that these systems have gone so way powerful to a point of embracing the element of belief into people. But again, we appreciate the fact that for you to change the world, you don't need to change everything. You can change just an individual to change the world. That's why we are insisting on the power of an individual. So if we could get that one individual that, yes, you're in school, but this should not only be an indoctrinating prism that is testing your knowledge and trying to do stuff, but rather you can use it as an environment or an avenue that could boost you and operate into the market. Then with religion has its own avenue of operation whereby it sells a product called hope. Okay, but again, in our avenue, we appreciate one thing. We say facts are facts, irrespective of feelings, irrespective of your beliefs, irrespective of your choices. Facts are facts. Reality will always come and hit you hard. So when we are at the liberty camp, actually, we are trying to dissociate ourselves from this wishful thinking and rather approach reality as reality. Steps that you build are important. And then we understand that these safe spaces, let me say per se, are important in a way that if you change one person to change the other people, because I believe me and all my entire descendants will be free individuals, and that's how we start the steps. Now, these systems are in place, but it takes, again, another view to let someone view the world in a way that is different, because most times there's that power of the crowd. They are in the box, okay? Now, when we isolate them to a safe space whereby, yes, this is a point where we are now challenging everything. We are not actually coming here to say we are believing into this. We are challenging everything. And we are booking you to the beauty of seeing the world, how the real things operate. Just as you asked about the greed thing. And we brought the narratives of the capitalism, and then just as, let's say, Madivani and the sugar. When Madivani is selling sugar to Madivani has invested in a lot of money and a lot of, the entire process to have that sugar come out. And I'm paying for the sugar. But there is something called value. Because, let's say, Madivani is creating sugar that is consumed by 3 million Ugandans. So we are seeing him for collecting money from 3 million Ugandans, but not seeing the value he's creating to the 3 million Ugandans. That's where we get it wrong when you're not assessing the market. Let's look at a musician and a doctor. We may try to say, okay, musicians are not educated, but the value of happiness and joy that one musician is doing in one concert, he's spreading value to over 3 million people who are coming in one concert. Then do you really expect a doctor who is treating a patient in a day or a week to get equal reflection of value? Just as this. Now, this is just a common understanding of how the market works, which is actually not taught in these safe spaces. So we come to a point and say, okay, yes, this is what you may think, but we are coming to the reality and appreciate the fact, because facts are facts, irrespective of feelings, irrespective of our societies, of the indoctrination you've gone through. Should you will continue appearing as someone who is doing that, but we come into reality and say, no, the operational costs, the companies, the taxes is filing, the lawyers is paying to keep, his corporate, game into the market. We are not looking at others. For us, we are looking at the infrastructure in place. And we are looking at maybe the 100 stuff. We are not looking at the value of hospitality is offering. That if Uganda is being, last time we had the NAM conference, so whose infrastructure was being hosted there? The value that he puts up to get the reflection in that pay. Now, this entire thing of calling it greed and whatsoever is because someone has created a lot of value and is getting a reflection of that value. Because if I'm buying sugar, I'm appreciating and saying, oh, thank you, Madivani, thank you, Kakira. So if we are 2 other million people appreciating Kakira, obviously has to go to the skies and stuff. So that is basically the simple understanding of the market. And we feel our young generation should actually embrace all this. That's why we isolate ourselves into a high intensive, including the fun, including the stuff, but we isolate ourselves to a 3 days intensive, knowledge space. This is not something that's coming from the clouds, but it's something common sense reasoning that we're trying to actually, embrace in these spaces.
Okay, thank you so much. Ndoza tunavira question n'abantu so I'm a socialist at a certain point, but before I get the capitalism, but anyway, the discussion continues. We're going to go in for a very short commercial break. When we return, we're going to be joined by Mr. Kakanda. He's going to be elaborating more about the Liberty and Economic Camp 2024. And then there are also questions I would love Mr. Durham to answer about capitalism. So let's break shortly. When we return, the Mighty Drive continues. Good morning.
Great.